Hello, everybody. Joe White here, recording this. This is the fourth time I've tried to record today. Um, Primarily because the subjects that I'm going to tackle, especially one of them, are a little tricky to talk about. I'm first gonna say that I went about a week ago and saw the movie Glass. Um, M Night Shyamalan's thing, newest movie. If it feels more like a they say it's a sequel to Split, which is also a sequel to Unbreakable. I don't know that they should have called the movie Glass, although I could see why they did. A lot of critics are bashing this movie, saying, "Well, it's not what we thought it was going to be." They say the same shit over and over. That, oh, you're not a superhero, you're not a superhero. So I'm going to try to do this without spoiling it. Unbreakable. Basically, what happens is there is a guy who survives a train crash. He's the only survivor of the train crash. And supposedly, this man, the reason why he survived is because he's unbreakable. And we find out that his only weakness is water. Um, Flash forward through the movie, and we find out that he meets a guy named Elijah who's infatuated with comic books. He's infatuated with superheroes. And as it turns out, he kind of exposed David Dunn, Bruce Willis's character, the unbreakable guy, for what he was, which is unbreakable. And we find out that it was Elijah, who is Mr. Glass, whose body is very frail. He's in a wheelchair. His bones can break just by pretty much grabbing him real hard. And then we transform to the movie Split, which is about a guy who has multiple personality disorder, and basically he has about 20 something personalities in him that he calls the Horde, and they all are subservient to the main baddie, which is a personality called the Beast. And the Beast is able to have super strength and invulnerability and can climb on walls and stuff like that. And then you flash forward to this movie Glass, as I'm bombarded with a text message here. Hold on. There we go. Um, so then you transport to this movie Glass, and we find out that the David Dunn's character Bruce Willis, who has very little to say in this movie. I think he maybe has about 10 lines throughout the whole movie, but still does a damn good job. As my yes, that's some StarCraft for people wondering. Um, he still does a good job. He's been in basically taking on the superhero role, with his son being the guy in the chair. Um, and he ends up having a showdown with the Beast. Now, the first maybe 20 minutes of this film are very much what a superhero movie is. And then it dives into the psychological aspect after we find out that the Beast, or, Kevin Wendell Crumb, who is the body that these personalities inhibit, and David Dunn, Bruce Willis, has been captured and sent to this psychiatric facility, along where they find out that Mr. Glass is there too. Elijah, who is played by Samuel L. Jackson. Sarah Paulson plays a psychiatrist who has basically 3 days. Okay, the phone's going on vibrate. God damn it. Hold on here. Okay. Alright. Sorry about that, folks. So basically, what happens is the Sarah Paulson's character has 3 days to convince these guys that you're not really a superhero. It's all psychosomatic, and you're not really having superpowers. And if we could get you to pretty much do that, I've done my job. And then it goes on we then go into the main chunk of the movie, which is these guys basically in this thing. Elijah's being sedated because his IQ and everything will cause him to break out and go free, but yet he's still in the wheelchair and he's still very fragile. David Dunn is Bruce Willis's character is put into a room surrounded by he's put into a giant shower room where his bed is surrounded by pressure jets that will flood the room and it's connected to a water tank outside. And then they discover that bright flashes of light cause Kevin Wendell Crumb's character, who is played magnificently by James McAvoy, it causes his personality to change, and whenever a personality comes forward, they are in the light. And they cannot let Kevin Wendell Crumb be in the light. Kevin Wendell Crumb is so emotionally scarred by events of his childhood that he does not want to be in the light. He fears the light. So he lets the Horde take over. And James McAvoy, honestly, I want to see more of this character, but sadly we won't. Spoiler alert. We maybe still there's ways, in comic books the superhero isn't always dead. They can be revived, or the villain isn't always dead. They can be revived. But a lot of critics are saying that this movie, all it is Sarah Paulson sitting them down going, "You're not a superhero. You're not a superhero." And that it tries so hard to be a comic movie that it keeps hammering it home. In comics they do this, and in comics they do that. And I'm sitting here going, did you not see the first Unbreakable? Samuel L. Jackson's character is obsessed with comics. He believes that he could create superheroes or find these characters with these abilities. I think Glass does a wonderful job, and I think it's M. Night Shyamalan's best movie since The Village, which I truly enjoyed. I'm going to give this movie probably 4 out of 5 stars. Just there are some things in there that are the ending of the movie, the twist of the movie. I hope they do more with this. There is room to expand on it, but if this is the final piece of this trilogy, then or this universe, then I'm also happy with it. I do want to see more of it. Sarah Paulson does an amazing job. James McAvoy, everybody does an amazing job acting. There are points in this movie where I felt that they did drag. The ending fight scene is rather boring. Attention, a new important message as I get a message on my Qualcomm. There are points where this movie does drag on a bit, but at the same time, there's outside forces outside the psychiatric hospital in the form of, we see the return of the survivor from the movie Split, who has kind of fallen in love with James McAvoy's character. And we see Bruce Willis, David Dunn, his son, come into play. And then we have Elijah's mother come into play, too, in this whole movie. And it's like, okay, our 3 people kind of hated each other, but we got to unite to show the world that they exist. And in the end of the movie, you find out why the movie is called Glass, as my GPS is going to talk to me here. I know. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, GPS. Anyway. Here it is. I'm recording this at 9:30 at night. I'm shut down for the night here in Indiana. Do I really have to shut this thing off? I know I'm out of route. I've been sitting here in the snow for fucking goddamn hours. I'm sitting here in Indiana along I-80, folks. There's snow out the ass outside. The wind is blowing. It's icy. This truck ain't moving. Anyway, now that the distractions are finally gone, probably, I think Glass is a very, very misunderstood film. I think Glass is a very underrated film. Is it Oscar worthy? Hell no. Is it going to make $1 billion at the box office? No. But it's not as bad as everybody says. I sat there. I enjoyed myself throughout the 90% of the movie. I wanted to see more of these characters, and sadly we won't get to see more of them, or will we? But the door is there for M. Night Shyamalan to create new characters. Now everybody is going to ask about the M. Night Shyamalan twist. Yes, there is a twist at the end of this movie. A very, very brilliant twist, in my opinion. and it's something that comic book movies have not seen before. Is Glass a comic book movie? I'm gonna say no. It's not a comic book movie. It is a very much a dramatic slash thriller of a movie that invokes emotions. It ends up leaving you wanting more of these characters, and a couple of these characters you end up almost falling in love with the villains of this movie. It's very well done. Again, it's my favorite M Night Shyamalan movie, um, and I would go see it again. I'm gonna go see it again when it comes out on physical media, and I'm curious to see if he's gonna expand this universe, because there's plenty of room for it, and I hope he does. Um, I hope we see more of it. NASCAR. NASCAR is coming back. Yes, we talk a little bit of NASCAR. I was raised in the South. Man, what a season was last year with Joey Logano doing the upset, winning the title for NASCAR. What is it now? Sprint Cup? No, it's not Sprint. Monster Energy Cup, whatever it is this day and age. Champion. I do not believe if I had things to do, I don't think he was very deserving of it. He kind of snuck his way in there in the end. It was Kevin Harvick's year. And once again, Kevin Harvick just underperformed at the last race. And you know, I think this year is finally going to be the year that Kevin wins another title. And Kevin Harvick is deserving of it. I'm curious to see how Martin Truex Jr. does this year, since Furniture Row Racing is no more, and I don't even know if he's racing this year or not. I hope he is. I hope somebody picked him up. I haven't really looked at NASCAR news the last few weeks or few months, because when NASCAR does an off season, I take an off season, and I kind of take a break from all the off season crap. Because primarily it's mostly about how this driver stays fit, and here are the paint schemes for Daytona and all this shit. I do know that Chase Elliott is now sponsored by Hooters, which I think is brilliant, because I love seeing the Hooters car, that orange and white black car, go around the track. So the Daytona 500, I believe, is weekend after next, and yeah. So NASCAR news is coming this way back to the podcast here, folks. Now I have to talk about something that I never thought I would talk about. And I sat here today, and I'm looking on Twitter, and there's fans being requested to take their AEW merchandise off at the Rumble, and I'm not even going to get into the Rumble. I'll just say Royal Rumble was okay. It's definitely not the best Royal Rumble pay-per-view. To me, the best Royal Rumble pay-per-view of all time was 2002. And so yeah, 2002 was the best Royal Rumble, in my opinion, ever. That pay-per-view from start to finish, you had Taz and Spike Dudley versus the Dudley Boys for the tag team titles leading that show off. It was great. You had Jericho and The Rock. You had Ric Flair versus Vince McMahon in a street fight, for crying out loud. And then you had a very predictable, you knew who was going to win that year in Triple H, but how they got there was a fucking phenomenal, amazing story. That whole Rumble told a story. It was really good. Much like 92 when Flair won. So was this year's Rumble, Royal Rumble 2019? First of all, they should have never ran a baseball stadium. And the reason why they shouldn't is because that AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan match was really quite good, except for the fact that the crowd was so dead after the Women's Royal Rumble. And what enthusiastic fans were there, you couldn't hear because all the sound goes up instead of in. The crowd really hampered this match and really knocked it down a peg. And the same way with all these matches, just the stupid one fall and two sweet and all that shit. It kind of brings me to my point today. And that I will admit, I have fallen out of love for the first time ever with pro wrestling. I have not watched Monday Night Raw in about, what has it been now, 2 months? And I don't know why, but it's like I don't feel the need to watch anymore. At all. Not even SmackDown now. I mean, I love what they're doing with Becky Lynch. And to me, she's the hottest thing going right now. But I feel that I just feel that wrestling fans, my fellow fans, have really destroyed my love for this. And I'll tell you why. From the stupid British fans all the way to the damn AEW sheep to the WWE marks, everybody has just crushed my opinion or has just crushed my love for this entire thing. You know, there's the thing of wrestling Twitter and you know, even CWF. I haven't watched CWF in almost a year. Because I need to take a break from the business in general. And now I know why AC and why Jeff and DJ Stames and even Bobby Ventura take a break from it. I don't see how they're talking about politics, but in MMA and all that shit, because it's just as worse. But I feel like for once in my life, I need to stop focusing on pro wrestling. And I blame my fellow fans for this. I don't blame the product. I blame the fans for it. Because of the fact of, you have the AEW sheep, you have the WWE fanboys, you have the New Japan marks, you have the Ring of Honor flunkies. It's like fucking being in high school where you got the greasers, the jocks, the cheerleaders, this, and then the squares, and the nerds, and all this. As something's beeping in the background, it's my tire alarm, which my tires aren't flat, it's just cold. So this is going to be a short episode this week. It really is. It's going to be a short little episode here. I long for the days, you know, it's pretty goddamn sad that I've been watching wrestling since 1991. Now, granted, everybody's going to be probably like, I've been watching longer than you. I don't care. And this is the time where I fully sit there and I don't want to go to a wrestling event at all. Because I know that I'm going to be sitting in a sea full of fucking idiots who chant things and believe things. There's still motherfuckers that will come up to me when I discuss pro wrestling with them that go, the Big Show is Andre the Giant's son, you know. Really? Really? So, I mean, and it's not that I think I'm better. It's that I think I see the wrestling business in a different light than they do, and that I've lost my ability to just mark the fuck out. That I overanalyze everything. It's just, but at the same time, there's a line of etiquette that we've lost when it comes to this fandom, that people think it's okay to just throw beach balls and chant whatever the fuck they want to and insult the people that they've paid their hard-earned money to see. And it ain't right. It's just not fucking right, guys. You know, the Young Bucks, 10 years ago, the Young Bucks and Cody would have been everything that was wrong with this business. 50 fucking meaningless goddamn super kicks in a fucking match. And I know WWE's no better. Did it really make sense for Nia Jax to go in there and start beating up the men? No. All it did was get you a ration of shit on Twitter today from a guy who, I'm sad to say, co-owns the baseball team in my hometown of Richmond, Virginia. I got idiots like that from my hometown, guys, and that sickens me. You know, it's the old adage, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Well, you know what? I can't watch it because I don't like my fellow fans. How sad is that? My fellow fans take away my ability to love something that I have loved most of my life. I can't stand it anymore. I can't stand the stupid football chants. I can't stand the soccer chants. I can't stand the fucking goddamn AEW sheep. I can't stand these motherfuckers on YouTube that look at you and go, WWE is the greatest fucking thing ever. Motherfuckers, do you not realize that they're not the only game in town? Oh, I forgot. You're only saying that because WWE invites you to the Performance Center once a year to show you how the video game looks. And you don't want to lose that. I'm talking to people like Tony the Pizza Guy, Tubby Emu. What's this fucking bitch's name? Her name is Luge, whatever her name is. She does reaction videos to this shit. And not honest ones. You motherfuckers. When will you fucking get a real job and realize that YouTube revenue ain't everything? Would I love to make it in YouTube and make YouTube my job? Yes. But I wouldn't kowtow to fucking sponsors and motherfuckers who I wouldn't kiss ass. And then you got people like fucking Joe Cronin and fucking goddamn Solomon. Yes, Solomon, I still see you. Who go, I watch so you don't have to. No, you're just part of the fucking problem. Because you watch it. The fact that you watch it at all, or feel like you have to watch it, don't you see that fucking goddamn is ignorant? And then you take it up to the higher pundits like Meltzer and Mike Johnson and Wade Keller and Sean Ross Sapp and all them idiots over at Wrestling Inc. who make a living doing this shit. They're the biggest parts of the problem. So it's the fans, it's the critics, it's the pundits. It's not the workers, it's not goddamn creative. It's the fact that we're all still putting up with the bullshit. And if you think AEW is going to be any different, the sheep of a fan is going to turn it into something unwatchable. Because they'll cheer for somebody's dick getting grabbed. And they'll cheer for 50 fucking super kicks. And they'll cheer because the young cucks named a move off of Meltzer. Well, maybe if you stop cheering for this stupid shit, you can't possibly like it. There's the fucking Meltzer sits there and goes, the wrestling business is the way it is because the fans pop for it. Well, let me tell you something, Meltzer. If you really want to help the fucking business, you'll tell the motherfuckers to stop chanting for this stupid motherfucking bullshit. We're the top motherfuckers to blame. My fellow wrestling fans are the top motherfuckers to blame. Because they fucking goddamn like the stupidity. And they like the bullshit that WWE's been feeding them for the last 20 years. Well, guess what, motherfuckers? I don't like either. I don't like either of you motherfuckers. You want to have an opinion and you want to criticize it, but yet when McMahon comes out there, you do the whole thing where you bow down to him. When you should be turning your back. And not even buying a fucking ticket if you want to see the product change so goddamn badly. And if you want AEW to be legitimate competition and to be legitimate wrestling, you won't have people out there flipping people with their goddamn dick, and you won't name a goddamn fucking move after a motherfucker who goddamn is ruining the business. I don't care if you get 5 fucking stars. I don't care if he's sitting backstage sucking your dick. You don't name a move after somebody like that. And goddamn, so far, the Being the Elite episodes I've watched since this is done, it makes me want to look at Cody. It makes me want to look at the Bucks and go, do your daddies know you're playing promoter? Because that's what it's coming off like. People wonder why I love Jim Cornette. Well, because Jim Cornette's theory actually has some sense to it. Can we treat this like it's a legitimate fucking product and not dumb it down so fucking much? Because I'm sorry, what's fucking more worse? Vince McMahon's bathroom humor or the fucking young cuck's goddamn lackadaisical attitude to the whole goddamn business. Because to me, they're both fucking ignorant, they're not funny, and they're fucking ruining the goddamn thing that I love. So until us fans can pull our heads out of our goddamn asses and stop cheering for this shit, stop watching this shit, and tell them we want a legitimate change, then I've lost my love for it. And my love will never come back as long as my fellow fucking fans act this way. It's our fault. We cheer for this shit. When will we grow up a little? You want McMahon, he's a 70-something-year-old guy who gets off on the toilet humor and dick and fart jokes. Well, you got the same goddamn fans who bashed that cheering for Joey Ryan. You goddamn hypocritical motherfuckers. Neither one are good. How about that? That's it for me. I'm Joe White. You've just been taken from pillar to post.